The taxi stopped at the edge of the long cobblestone driveway. Rain drizzled softly against the windshield, blurring the outline of the grand house beyond the iron gates. Elise stepped out, clutching her worn brown coat around her. Her fingers trembled not from the cold, but from the quiet ache of returning to a world she'd once belonged to. Years ago, she'd walked away from this kind of life, crystal chandeliers, marble halls, people who spoke in low, careful tones. Now, she was coming back not as a guest, not as a lover, but as a caretaker. The security guard glanced at her ID and buzzed the gate open. Elise Moreau, piano tutor for Miss Clara. Her voice was calm, rehearsed. The same way she used to introduce herself at every new home, every new job. But this one felt different. Inside, the mansion seemed to hold its breath. She could almost hear the echoes of music that once filled her own past, the same kind that used to make her heart race whenever she sat beside him. Miss Moreau. A woman's voice broke her thoughts. The housekeeper, gray-haired and brisk, greeted her kindly. Mr. Bennett will meet you later. For now, Miss Clara is in the music room. Elise nodded, setting her small suitcase near the stairs. The house smelled faintly of rain and polished wood. She followed the faint sound of soft notes coming from the grand piano, hesitant, searching, like a child finding her way through silence. When Elise stepped inside, she saw her. Clara Bennett, no more than 7, sat on the piano bench, her tiny fingers pressing uncertainly on the keys. Her dark hair fell in soft curls over her shoulders. She didn't look up. "Clara!" Elise said gently. The girl paused, hands hovering above the ivory keys. "You're the new teacher?" she asked quietly, her voice almost a whisper. "I am," Elise smiled. "Would you like to show me what you've been practicing?" The child hesitated, then began to play. The melody stumbled, but had heart a piece Elise knew by heart. Claire de Lune. She played it 100 times before, back when she was younger, when laughter used to echo in dimly lit halls and a man with kind eyes used to stand behind her, whispering how music made her glow. Her chest tightened. That man was Alexander Bennett. She didn't know if it was fate or coincidence that she now worked for him. The agency hadn't mentioned names, only that the family needed a live-in caretaker for a young girl. She'd taken the job without thinking. Clara's final note lingered in the air, fragile as a sigh. "That was beautiful," Elise said softly. "But tell me, why do you play it so slowly?" Clara shrugged, staring at her hands. "Daddy says that's how my mom used to play it. I don't remember her. But he does." Elise froze. Her heart sank to the floor. Her mother. The word echoed through the room like a forgotten song. She turned her face away so Clara wouldn't see the tears threatening her eyes. Then, Elise said carefully, "Let's play it again. This time, I'll help you find the light in each note." Clara smiled faintly, her tiny fingers moving across the keys. Elise sat beside her, guiding her rhythm with a patient touch. Slowly, the music bloomed between them, delicate, hopeful, whole. And as the rain softened outside, neither of them noticed the man standing in the doorway, watching in silence. Alexander Bennett. The years had not dimmed his presence. His dark hair was streaked faintly with gray, his tailored suit pressed sharp as his gaze. But his eyes, the same deep, steady brown she used to lose herself in, were unreadable. He didn't speak. He only listened. And as Elise's hand brushed Clara's gently over the keys, something in his chest, something long buried, stirred awake. Alexander lingered in the doorway long after the last note faded. For a moment, he couldn't move. The years collapsed into a single breath, the way she tilted her head when she listened, the way her fingers danced across the keys. Elise hadn't changed. When he finally stepped forward, his voice was low. "Clara, sweetheart, it's late. Go wash up for dinner." Clara turned, her smile bright. "Daddy, Miss Elise plays like Mama used to." The words hit him like a quiet storm. Elise froze, every part of her still. Alexander's eyes met hers across the piano, a glance heavy with things never said, years never lived, and the ache of recognition too strong to hide. "Miss Moreau," he said, keeping his tone polite, distant. "Thank you. You may go." Elise gathered her chic music, her hands trembling. "Of course, Mr. Bennet." But before she reached the door, his voice softened. "You still play Debussy?" She stopped. The name, the tone had shattered the careful walls she'd built. Slowly she turned. "You remember." "How could I forget?" he said quietly. "You played it the night you left." The silence between them carried 1,000 unspoken stories. Elise's throat tightened. "I didn't have a choice, Alex." He stepped closer, his gaze gentler now. "You disappeared. No letter. No reason. And then one day, you come back teaching our daughter." Elise's eyes widened. "Our?" Her voice broke. "She's mine." Alexander nodded, pain flickering beneath his calm. "You were ill. The doctors said the pregnancy was risky. I thought I lost you both. When you left," he exhaled shakily, "I raised her alone." Elise covered her mouth, tears blurring her vision. Clara's laughter echoed faintly from the hall, innocent, distant, untouched by the truth unraveling before them. For a long moment, neither spoke. The rain tapped softly against the tall windows, like a piano keeping time with their hearts. Finally, Alexander whispered, "She deserves to know her mother." Elise looked toward the doorway, where the sound of small footsteps faded upstairs. "And she will. But not tonight. Let her music tell her first." He smiled faintly, something fragile breaking open in his chest. "Just like you." Elise nodded, tears glistening on her lashes. "Just like me." As she sat once more at the piano, Alexander joined her side. Together, they played Clair de Lune not as strangers, but as two souls who had found their way back through silence, loss, and love reborn in a single melody. The music swelled through the house, wrapping the walls in light. Upstairs, Clara listened from her bed, smiling without knowing why. For the first time in years, the Bennet home was not silent. It was alive,